Hi guys, so welcome back to another session of performance testing and engineering concept. In the last few sessions, we have seen the basic definition of performance testing. I have tried to explain the definition with a very simple example of a mobile device or mobile app. Then we have seen what different kind of testing we have, and those are performance test, load, stress test, endurance or longevity, spike test and the volume test. We have seen the definition and I try to explain with the simple example first four type of test. Remaining two we will be seeing in the forthcoming session. I don't want you people to get confused with the flow. So I thought we will take the things in bit and pieces and try to understand. So guys, before I move to today's video or the session, let me tell you why I am here. Okay. I know I know few concepts. I am aware of some of the best practices we have in performance testing. I am having an experience close to 15 to 16 years in the same domain. Maybe I am not a person who can teach you in a best way. That is where a two-way communication is needed. You guys can give your comments or suggestions how I should take up these sessions. But let me tell you why I came to this platform. I have seen many people who approach me directly or indirectly saying that can you help us with performance testing? Either in organization, outside organization, they want to learn it. They have many questions, hundreds of questions, which they ask me. Then I thought if I know few of them, there will be lot many people outside who want to learn. And I'm not denying there are many content running over the internet where people are learning it or learning through it. But my approach, as I said, is totally different. I want to talk to you with very simple examples. I don't want to make it very technical. Yes, I agree. At some time, my language may use some kind of technical stuff or words which might be confusing for you. But believe me, I will try to rectify it. I will try to explain it with some more example so that it is very easy for anyone to understand. And the idea behind these sessions were I don't want people to think that they need scripting language or generic languages like Java, C, C++ expertise. They should not, they should know the coding to customize their script. They should even have a prior experience or some experience, for the performance testing tool. These all are myths as per me. Anyone can do this testing. And why we are emphasizing more on theory part, because as and when I move into the demo classes or the practical session, you should know the concept. For example, I will design a scenario and say I am going to design a load test for you. So you should know what is load test, what user load I am using there, why it is called load test, what is the objective behind it. Can we do the same thing with performance test? Is it really needed to run the load test to see the impact on the system? So these are some approaches which came to my mind and I start, talking to you people through this. As I said, these are small videos. I don't want to make it very, very large where people will be fed up or get bored. But yeah, in some days or at some time, it would be little stretched because I need to cover up a lot of things. So without further ado, I will get into the topics what I have for today, and they are quite interesting. Please do let me know if you find them interesting or you have similar kind of questions. You can comment in the comment section. So these are the generic questions. Believe me, there is a long list, but I try to pick up the top and very common questions which will be asked to a performance tester. It might be you, it might be me, it might be someone else who has to answer this question. So first, see the question and then we'll get into the answer for it. First thing first, when performance can be started? When can you start the performance test? So the answer for this would be whenever the system or the application under test is ready. Let me reiterate. Whenever an application under a test is ready, it could be in bit and pieces, but that particular functionality has to be stable and bug free. So the answer to this question is we can start our performance testing as early as possible, but the underlying application or the flow which we need to test has to be functionally stable and bug free. There should not be any open bugs from the functional side, right? Now, just to relate another part to this question, people are asking, are you going to do the performance testing towards the end of the development cycle or towards the end of the testing cycle? Let me explain you in a very simple way. There were a time when we prepare estimate, we explain people that performance test lab has to be ready, test tool has to come into picture, everything has to be stable. Those are the time when we were doing performance testing towards the end of the cycle. But now when we all are progressing towards agile or using agile nowadays, things are totally different, right? So we are shifting left. So those who are thinking what is shifting left, it's very simple way I would say we can start our testing ASAP. Some of the modules or some of the working modules of your applications are ready. Not from the UI perspective. Even if underlying APIs are ready, you can right away start your testing and start capturing the baseline, right? Now the second question is, what is the lab setup required for testing? This is very interesting because many of us doesn't know. If we know, we will give answers. Sometimes we have a checklist with us. We may forget what and all we have to consider. So for this question, I would say you need to have a list with you where you need to understand what kind of testing tool you are going to use. From the testing tool perspective, what are the prerequisites you have? For example, if I am going to use a testing tool called JMeter, you might have heard Apache JMeter, then we need to have a setup in place where we have to do a distributed testing or the master slave configuration. Basically, a master machine and then multiple agents based on your number of users you have to set up in the lab. Second would be your monitoring tool. So we will learn monitoring tool when we'll go towards engineering concept, but just to let you know at this stage, monitoring tool are sub of the tool which will help us to find the issues with your CPU, memory, transaction failures, DB activity. So there are list of monitoring tool. If you are going to use some of the monitoring tool, they have to be set up in the lab. If any kind of communication you have to do outside of your application domain, like third party, or sometime you have to use some machines which are in some other geographic location, if you have to open the firewall, that has to be taken care when you are setting up the lab. Likewise, if you need any kind of access, that has to be taken care of for those servers or the machine which you are going to use during your testing. Third is why we need a separate lab. This is very critical question, and believe me, to answer or make other understand this particular question takes a lot of time, and you have to explain it with some example so that your client or customer may understand it, though they are agreeing, but the kind of requirement you have for a separate lab, that they need to understand. Like, some people are under the impression that if we have to do performance testing with some minimal load, nominal load of 10-50 users, why don't we use the environment which is there for regression test, like your staging environment or any pre-prod environment? See, the concept of performance testing is to test the load, right? So you are going to test the load of an application where you are going to stresses with some of the hits or requests, right? So we need a separate lab or environment which is as equivalent as to a production, so that we can mimic or get the real time results. If you are going to use a shared environment, there will be a lot of dependency. First thing first, many teams are going to use it. You have to stop as and when you have to start testing. If any ad hoc request come, you can't do it because you have to plan everything. You have to let people know, hey, I'm going to do the performance testing in this environment. Don't use these machines or this particular environment for so and so time window. Believe me, after all this notification and email communication, still some of the loopholes are there and your test result will affect by some or other backend activity, DB activity, bad jobs. So it is always good idea to have a separate lab to get real time results and have a proper finding. What all scenarios we need to consider? For at this stage, I would say we will cover this with the workload design and how to consider the scenario. But I would say we need not to test everything which is there for functional testing or automation, right? I mean, as a thumb rule, if I consider 100 functional test cases, we might be doing performance testing for 15 to 20 scenarios. And how we derive these scenario will be based on the frequency they are being used. Are they really getting impacted by performance, right? Are they involve some kind of volume? Are they mission critical? So there are some criteria we need to understand, but this need a separate session and we will take it in the forthcoming videos. What type of data is needed? So for data, as we know, data is very critical part, be it a banking domain or telecom domain, e-commerce domain. So we will try to mimic all these scenario with real time, as I mentioned already. So the data has to be realistic. You can't reuse some dummy data and get into some false interpretation where you'll say, hey, my results are really looking good, but at the later point of time you regret by seeing the data which you have used and which was not the right data. For example, if you are in a banking domain, you have to use some kind of user ID, unique user account. You have to create them or set up them with the help of some DBA or functional team or whoever is owning those activity. If you need some account number, they have to be, I won't say they are real account, but they have to be similar to how you are going to use it in production. So the answer of this question will be yes, we need real time data or a data which is close to production and try to do testing with that. What do we need? Do we need language knowledge for performance testing? As I said in the initial stage itself, if you are having basic knowledge of a scripting language or a language like Java, C, C++, uh, Python, it's good idea to have it. It's going to help you because you can customize your script. But believe me, nowadays there are a lot many open source tool available where with the clicks you can do your scripting and with some fraction of second you can even run your test and get your metrics, at least for the initial stage. I'm not going to say that these are giving you right idea or right picture of full-fledged load test or performance test, but to start with you can start with, like, right away. If I want to show you, I can show you, open a site, I can do a testing with 20 users for you and get you the result. So it doesn't require to have knowledge of JMeter and its different components or load runner or whatsoever tool you have, VSTS, right? Neoload. No, they are required when you are doing a full-fledged testing. But if you are into a POC, you are doing a POC for your client, you are new to performance testing, you can save your time, do some testing with these online tools available in the form of plugins and share the results with your customer. Can we do performance testing without prior knowledge? Yes, I already covered this. We can do it. I know some of the concepts are needed, but as I promised before we start these sessions, that you are going to learn performance testing within few weeks or in months time. So I will keep that promise. But only thing or only request I have from you guys is please watch this video, share it with your colleagues. Do comment in the comment section and let me know if you want me to improve somewhere or want me to cover something. Are we really fast? Is the approach is correct? Because I don't want this session to be like a bookish definition. I can start, the performance testing. Then I can directly jump to scripting. Then I can tell you different things or parameters we have for the script or the different components we have. Then I can come back and do load testing and design a scenario. That is not my approach. My approach is first to clarify all the questions we have and the myth we have, the biggest myth we have, that we need prior experience. We can't switch to performance testing easily. It need a lot of technical things. Yes, I'm in for performance engineering area. You need a lot of expertise, but that will come with time. So guys, this is all about this session. I don't want to make it very lengthy. So please do comment and let me know if you like the session, and I will come up with some more meaningful and insightful sessions for you. Have a nice time. Bye bye guys. Bye.